The queen has arrived. I did some quick drag. I'm gonna grab some brushes so that I can blend this in real time. When I tell you, wait, okay. Let me, how about I bring this mic closer to me so that you can actually hear me? Um, yes, welcome back to Now No Opportunity Wasted. Child, why is it that I always decide that I want to put on makeup at the last minute? Because what was really happening was I was fine not wearing no makeup. I really was. I was not going to put on no makeup at all. And then, then one thing leads to another. And then you just start putting on more and more, more and more makeup. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Rolando. Good to see you, boo. Hello. So, yes, today I'm wearing my crown. You know, a girl is crowned up today. Um, let me tell you something. This beauty products by there's this black woman who I met in Chicago. And Ashanta Beauty. This is the here. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna do like they do on the I got dark skin palms, y'all. Wait, let me see. Can I? There we go. Ashanta Beauty. Ashanta Beauty. Y'all can find her on Instagram too. But when I tell you Ashanta Beauty did her big one with this thermal blush, y'all, is clear. The blush is clear, child. And that's what that is on my cheek right there. Watch them put a little bit more. Look. Wait. Whoo. Wait, I don't want look. Wait, I don't want to put too much, but child, it's a thermal. Ooh. You know what I'm saying? That's that thermal blush. Let me blend that in, child. Ooh, that's a lot. But we're gonna do it on this other side too, because we're gonna be a lot together. If we're gonna be a lot, we're gonna be a lot together. You know what I mean? Both cheeks. Just so this thermal blush, I mean, it's just clear, y'all. And just go on. But I don't know why I'm trying to do this with the mirrored cameras just going backwards. You know what I'm saying? Like, child, wait, hold on. I'm looking in the camera trying to do this with this. I know better. I'm gonna do it anyway. Cause and let me put a little bit on her forehead, you know. Yeah, that's cute. This definitely quick drag though, because I was not planning on putting on no makeup. I was just, just doing my things, just sitting here, doing the things. Thank you very much. Welcome back to Now No Opportunity Wasted. Yeah, like totally, like what's up? You know what I'm saying? Um, I am. Wait, 1 second. Let me go back to the beginning. Okay, yes. Ooh, why is it not? Okay, girls, I need you to start at the beginning. See, technology, well, girl, what you doing? What you doing, sis? We saying replay. Okay, so here we go. Let's try this again. There we go. Welcome back to Now No Opportunity Wasted. I'm your host, Angelica Ross, and I'm back home. I'm back home in my studio in Chicago. I just got back from speaking at the Anita B. Grace Hopper celebration for the second year in a row. And what an incredible conversation that was. I will definitely be sharing more about that a little bit later. I think I will also touch a smidget, just a little bit, on the story that's been in the headlines about Tish, who, and this trans person who was exposing their genitalia in a women's locker room in Los Angeles, California. I'm sure folks already know where I'm probably going to go with this, but I will be touching on that a little bit later, especially because I got a phone call from a friend who goes to that gym and actually had a conversation with that person. But first off, we're going to start things off with a word from Buddhism Day by Day by Daisaku Ikeda. for November 10th, and it says, "quote Our lives are our own. It's not for someone else to dictate to us how we should live them. All that awaits those who allow themselves to be continually swayed by what other people say or do is unhappiness. We simply need to have the self belief to be able to say, this is right. This is the path I will follow. I am content. Happiness is born from such inner fortitude." End quote. So yes, what did the people say? What are you saying to me? You're like a Sagittarian version of Lauryn Hill, and she's a Gemini. Oh, I mean, my mom's a Gemini too, so them Geminis. Um, yes, a lot. Rolando says a lot of parents need to hear this and listen. Absolutely, for sure. So, so yeah, I mean, I've got a few things. I had a conversation earlier, this week, last week. I start to lose my dates and times because but I had a conversation with Dakarai, Larriett. I think I'm gonna say it better too in the interview that I did with them as well. They're running for office in Alabama, so um, they are also the author of a memoir entitled "Don't Flush." Uh-huh. We will be getting into what that all meant definitely soon. But also, I just want to give a little explanation of why I'm just up and wearing a crown today. Just out of the blue, just decided to wear a crown. I mean, Bay does say that I am his queen all the time. He calls me his queen, so maybe that's one of the reasons why. But no, I actually received this crown from an amazing Black trans woman by the name of Ava Davis. When I was presented with the Icon Award at the Out in Film Festival in Atlanta, Georgia, just last month, I believe it was. She also presented me with this lovely crown. So I wanted to share, what she crowned me Queen of Decatur. Angelica Ross, recognized as Queen to the state degree, style, dignity, title, and honor of Queen of Decatur. It says Ava the first, and I'm gonna try to read this because the writing on it is a little fancy, but ain't that cute? Let me tell you something. The type of awards that I like best are the awards that come from community. Look at this. Look, look, it's got an official seal on it too. You know, look at that. Look, I mean, just the thought that counts with all of this. But it says um okay, so look, I'm gonna try to read this. It says, Ava the First, by the light of the prismatic flame and the grace of the spirit, Grand Duchess of Grant Park and sovereign of the prismatic queerdom of, I think it says Vosges, and of our other realms and territories, head of defender of the spirit and prismatic flame, to all the persons spiritual and temporal, and all the others, our other subjects whatsoever, to whom these present shall come greetings. Know ye that we of our especial grace, certain knowledge, and mere motion do by these presents advance, create, and prefer our right to trusty and entirely beloved cousin and counselor, and do by these presents establish for the first time in the history of our queerdom the creation and acknowledgement of queendom, a realm sovereign in itself, defined and ruled by its queen in her own right, Angelica Ross. I mean, it's a lot more writing on here, and I might have to break out a dictionary on some of these things, but it does say that Angelica Ross is recognized into the nobility of the prismatic queerdom as Her Majesty, the Queen of Decatur. By her artistry, she has reimagined the world upon the stage and screen. By her activism, She has transformed struggle into strength and lifted communities into light. By her unwavering visibility, she has stood on principle, fearless in the face of oppression, and by her flame, she has carried the light of queer liberation through darkness into brilliance. Henceforth, let all honor her in her station and her name be spoken with reverence and joy as Queen Changemaker and sovereign among sovereigns. Ooh, I love this. This is so beautiful. Thank you so much, Ava Davis, girl. Thank you so much. This is so sweet. Yes, let the church say amen, Rolando. Yes. Yes, I am a Sagittarius. And somebody says that their mother, your mother is a Sagittarius too. She's December 16th. You're a Taurus, April 28th. Like I be getting into these into the astrologies because they do be I know like I don't be using Apple like I used to. So I used to have stuff like save like there's this thing called the Book of Birthdays, and it literally has my I mean, it's like it's let's see if I can see November 28th. Nope. I thought it would so basically my birthday is November 28th, and in the Book of Birthdays it has this whole thing. And I know at one point I know I had posted it to Facebook a long time ago. Facebook is just a place that I feel like every time I log in, I'm going to get mugged or get my identity stolen. So like I try as much as possible not to log into Facebook. But oh look, I got a thing that Avery Wilson is performing live soon. Hey Avery. Um Let me see. I'm just going to see if it's in here. I doubt that it's in here, but I'm just going to double check. Cause that Book of Birthdays, November 28th, it had me pinpoint. Let's see. November 28th. Yeah, no, it's not gonna show up. So but yeah, I do know I do have it posted somewhere. Once I find it again, I gotta keep it somewhere because I know I had it like tag, saved somewhere so I could always just pull it up. I gotta do that again in the future. Um, we got a lot of Sagittarius. People know a lot of Sagittarius. Yes, I'm in Decatur where it's greater. Um, but again, I have this great interview that I want to share with you because this is really ridiculous and really goes to the conversation that we continue to have around continuously living in a police state, an overfunded police state at that. Um, we're going to jump to that conversation, and then afterwards, I think I will touch on this little Tish situation just a little bit. If folks listen, because I'm gonna have some things to say, and I know some folks they love to hop on late and then have me up on here late talking about stuff, and they said they came late to the conversation or what have you. But listen, I'm gonna put I can share the link to the studio if you want to come and join the conversation. You just have to text me at 88. Don't call me. Listen, I don't know why. Let me explain this to y'all really about this phone number, okay? Please do not call this phone number. And when I say text it, text 888-991-2946 or 1-888-991 to win, WIN, so that you can remember it. 1-888 to win or 1888, excuse me, 1-888-991 to win or 1-888-991-2946. But listen, um I don't people there's been so many people who will call this number and then hang up, and then my automated response will kick in and be like, "Hey, sorry we missed you. How can I help you?" I'm seeing the message exchange, and then I see that person basically select the do not disturb thing so that I can't text message them back. So you just want to be able to get me on the phone, but you're not seeing the boundaries that I put up. I have a lot of people that call me, and people try to call me out of the blue. People be texting me, family members, cousins. Hey, Braylon, girl, cousin I ain't never met, but hey, girl, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I'm sure we will meet each other. I don't know where you said, what state you in? West Virginia somewhere, girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, girl, hey, you know what I'm saying? But like, there'd be so many people that will try to reach out just unscheduled. And I'm gonna tell you something. I am someone who is very, very experienced in just let alone a little bit of time management. And one thing I learned about time management is one way to really manage your time is to prevent unscheduled interactions. It's many times in those unscheduled interactions that I lose an hour or so in a phone call that I didn't schedule, or just certain things or whatever that might knock me off my schedule or make me late for a meeting or anything else. So I don't really allow too much for unscheduled interactions. So if you text me though, we can schedule an interaction. Maybe you can hit me up on the next winter circle that where I have a free like private Zoom area where folks can just ask me anything and talk and just chill and hang out or whatever. I have exclusive members only live streams where we're gonna hang out. I think I will do that as well right after the show today. So if you are already a member, then you'll be able to join me for that, after the show conversation. But yeah, so if you text that number, and I'm gonna make sure that I have um a window open so that I can you know, basically send you the link. And so, I mean, and I can email it too. So if you like text me and be like, oh, hey, it's better if you email it so I can join from my computer with, I might have a better camera on my computer, whatever it might be. Boom. Send me your email. I'll send you, yeah, send me your email and I will email you. I can, do that while because, I'm the producer, the camera person, the lighting person, the quick beat makeup artist, hairstylist today. You know, um, we do it all. So also I saw Amanda Seals live stream that was incredible. What would your ancestors say, and got my autograph book. So I can't wait to get my autograph book, but I did see the live stream. I loved what she put down. I love the edutainment, educating folks while also being able to laugh. um I know that before she was getting prepared on that, I was sending her some good, energy and everything. And I text messaged her some passages. And so when she was streaming live on her show, she was like, I know that Angelica sent me some passages with highlighted pages, so I know it was serious, So she hadn't had a time to look at it, just yet. But I wanted to, point out for her that a lot of what she's doing is, and is similar to what I have been doing as well, is upsetting attachments and arousing doubts, inducing a revolutionary leap in consciousness. And just a situation where folks have to start questioning what they believe and why they believe it and all these different things. And so um you know thank you to Alex Bowling, who is an actor friend of mine. If you look him up, you'll see he's been on so many different things like Desperate Housewives and, a few other shows. He's just always, he's one of those familiar faces that you would see all the time. But he's kind of one of the folks that introduced me to the practice of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Those on Instagram, you won't be able to see it because, I've got a very zoomed in view for you on Instagram. But if you want to get the full picture, you can head over to youtube.com/Miss Ross and join us on the party over there. Um, but yes, so I'm going to hide that number for now. There we go. You said the production is top tier. Oh my, thank you, Rolando. Thank you. I've been putting a little work into it. I am now basically what they call it. I'm dual streaming. So I'm streaming to multiple places. But now I'm actually streaming in portrait mode for the folks in Instagram. So they're not just seeing like a small window. They're actually going to see a little bit different of a an experience. It's a little bit better for Instagram, but I still don't think it's better than the YouTube experience. Um, they say that it's freezing in Toronto. Rolando, is it freezing for you, or is it just the internet connection? Um, Somebody says John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. Yes, Lord, amen. For those who believe that, I'm not a Christian and you will not oppress me and force your beliefs on me. This is not the channel for that. All right, but amen. You know what I'm saying? Amen to you for that, for sure. What do you say? Are you teaching us the commandments yet? Do you down talk to African American blacks being the what? Child, I think they didn't found my live stream. They didn't found my live stream. I must be doing something right because they have found me. They found me. Are you teaching us the commandments yet? Do you down talk African American blacks being the Hebrew Israelites of the Bible, or you don't care or promote that lost sheep? Mhm. Let's see what another comment you got here. Let's go here too. The true Jews are only African American blacks and Jamaican Haitians. Oh, you got y'all. You the one that march around in them purple t-shirts, with all the black people down the street. Is that y'all the black Israelites? Is that what I got here going on? Wait, wait. What you say? Wait, LOL. You a cunt or enemy? We got to remember you. Wait, see, listen, honey. Okay, wait, honey. Listen, Black Israel. Let me tell you something. I love whenever y'all want to like show y'all face somewhere. Let me just tell you something. Let me put this number back up in here. Text me, honey. I will send you the link to hop on here and we could talk about it. Cause I don't know what you talk about, but we could talk about it. But I got an interview to get to. But I open up space a little bit later for discussion, so you can definitely join the discussion and we can open up that discussion. Cause I have no child. Lord have mercy. You're calling me a sellout. Lord have mercy. Lord. Lord, child, they didn't found me. How did y'all find my stream? Let me ask you this, John Smith. Let me ask you one question, John Smith. Okay, John Smith. I'm gonna ask you one question. Okay, and I want you to answer me. I'm gonna ask you one question. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna ask you one question. How do you feel about black queens who are transgender women like myself? How do you feel about black queens that are trans women? How do you feel about that? I want to know. I'm a text you woman. I'm a regular person, not a camp. A camp. Okay. I mean, you don't have listen. I'm a regular person too. I'm a regular person too, honey. But I want you to answer my question before I get you on here. I want to know what you would feel about trans women because here's the situation. I respect your right to believe whatever you believe. I respect your humanity for you to have children, to love, to create the household you want to create, you know? Um, and I respect everyone around the world being able to pursue happiness on their terms. You know, I think that folks who claim to know and speak on behalf of God sometimes are so small minded and can't see, the beginning of something so beautiful. of you start judging people, um and where they come from, where they're starting from, all these different things, instead of uh helping them to manifest God in their lives right where they are, and to start working right where they are, through who they are, as they are, to give them the permission to co-create their lives. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of other things too. Like, here's the situation. Y'all are totally entitled to believe anything you want to about a chosen people. But what I'm going to tell you is this: in a world where we're all human, we all bleed the same. I know that we are all equally endowed with that thing. You might call God, the universe. All of us are a piece of the cosmos in a way that is undeniable. That regardless of what you believe, it cannot invalidate my existence. Regardless of what you believe, it does not invalidate anything about how I live my life. Has no bearing. So all I'm saying is that can we live in a space, in a world where it doesn't have to be such a fight over what we believe? Why are we fighting over beliefs and not fighting our oppressors together? Folks who are making life harder for the both of us as Black people. Yeah, I mean, oh shit, shoot. Oh, okay. Well, see, then maybe you need to pray about it. Because let me say something. He says, "Oh, I'm not mature enough." Listen, this is this is somebody. This is probably one of the chosen people who is telling me they might not mature enough. So let's start there. So your religious practice doesn't allow you and offer you a level of maturity to talk to people across all differences. That's quite sad. But you're saying you're not mature enough to benefit a Jew like you. I don't know. I'm not Jewish. I'm a Buddhist. So nam yoho renge kyo on that. Because I don't know how to talk to you without having an issue. But you, our brother, we will fight for you if white people try to hurt you. So here's the situation, John. You don't want me to be offended, but you just called me brother, and you're on my live stream, and it's unnecessary. You can just call me Angelica. If you have a problem with your religion and you don't agree with this, that, and the other, well, my name is legally Angelica. So you could just do that and respect me as a human being and just call me by my name. But it sounds like you're not mature enough to have this conversation with me. And I think when people tell you who they are, believe them. So I will wait on that one a little bit. We won't be having that conversation today. Um, so someone says are literally stardust to an extent. Exactly. Um, So yes, so I have a interview here that I want to share that I had earlier this week. So I'm going to load that right on up here. Oh, girl. Um, Now why are y'all playing? Why is y'all playing? Okay, Lord, I'm like, why is? Don't play with me today, technology. Don't do it, girl. Like, okay. So gonna go to here. Here we go. All right, so here we go. All right, welcome back to Now No Opportunity Wasted. Today, I have someone really special with me today who has an incredible story to share. Definitely overcome some incredible challenges. Author of the book Don't Flush, and also a candidate for U.S. Senate in Alabama. Please welcome to Now Dakarai Larriett. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, Angelica.
Absolutely. I appreciate you for coming on and for tossing your hat in the ring to run for office. Listen, I was going to do it. I was interested and focused on running for office. And then after I saw the circus that was going on just this past election and just, just getting on the inside, I just couldn't do it. So I've got to ask you, what is behind you running for office? Have you ran for office before?
I
Have
have
you held
not
office before?
I have not held office or run for office before, but I have 20 years of public service experience and finally decided it was time to be that power, not to advocate from the outside.
Not to
And what
advocate for what does that 20 years of public service look like?
Well, you know it. Ironically, it started in the Bronx. So I was on the board of Bronx Community Pride Center and actually served with Dominic Jackson. And
Oh
from
wow.
there, got into harm reduction, working at the National Harm Reduction Coalition. And then when I moved back to Alabama, joined the board of the University of Alabama, advocating for equal and cost-effective access for everyone. So that's what I've done for the last 20 years, in addition to my corporate work. And when I was falsely arrested last year, decided it was time to get in to shake things up and change the rules to create a more fair society.
Was it in Alabama where you were falsely arrested?
No, so it was actually in Michigan. So it's so funny
Oh,
because
that's
people,
right. That's right. It was in Michigan. Yes.
right, people have this idea about Alabama. I'm like, most of my experiences with racism and homophobia happened outside of the state, frankly. And so I was driving through the state of Michigan when the incident happened.
Wow. I actually had an incident driving through Michigan too. I was going to speak at a university there, and a cop pulled me over and totally interrogated me for no reason. Wouldn't tell me really why he pulled me over. Now, for me, as someone who's experienced something like that, I was reading that basically when you were pulled over, they were accusing you of being on some sort of substance, and even went as far as to give you all these kind of tests that ended up negative, saying that you weren't on any substances, but you still ended up arrested.
Yes, so it was crazy. It started with this moving yardstick. First, it was I was violating traffic law, which I've never done before, and I have a clean driving record. Then it was you're drunk and that they smell something fruity, which I later realized was a homophobic slur because there was nothing in my system and I did not smell of anything fruity or of alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Tested negative in handcuffs at the jail, not even a breathalyzer. And then they still jailed me and said, well, you need to sober up for marijuana.
And how could they even assess what what was their what helped them come to the conclusion that you were on marijuana?
Well, it's funny because one of the officers, if you watch the body cam that went viral, says that they had
Yes.
500 hours of training. 500 hours, that's like an astronomical amount of training in determining sobriety. So, based upon their 500 hours of taxpayer training, they determined that I was driving under the influence. And
So it was just from their own assessment, basically.
from their assessment visually and everything else that they did throughout the night. So it was about 7 sobriety tests in the cold. This is April 10th in Michigan. So it's basically still winter. And, you know, they wanted a drug charge. In fact, when I was taken to the jailhouse, they accused me of smuggling drugs into the jailhouse by way of ingestion. So I was forced to use the restroom publicly as the trooper George Kenya yelled at me, "Don't flush," which became the name of my book.
At any point, were you thinking, or did you say like no? Like, I want meaning like I wonder for you, were you feeling as if like your rights were being violated and that you knew that and objected to all the things that were going on, or did you feel like you had to go along with what they were asking?
Mm. After decades of the talk as a black person in this country, I knew that I just had to get through the situation alive, and then I would lawyer up and get justice. So I tried to be as compliant as possible. I tried to say as little as possible. The only thing I can recall saying no to was when they started asking what medications I'm on. I'm like, too much. Because I knew at that point this video was going to go viral.
It's
I just knew
it's
it.
like HIPAA. They're violating the
Yeah.
HIPAA. Yeah,
I was
by
just like, we're
asking for
not
your
putting that
medical
out there.
records. Yeah,
Yeah. I was like,
yeah.
we're not doing that. But other than that question about what medications I was taking, which was totally irrelevant, I couldn't think of anything else that I denied. But it's interesting. When the troopers were plotting to plant drugs in my vehicle, which is caught,
You can see it on the video. Oh, is it and now that's their body cam video that's
that
catching
is
all of
their
that?
body cam video. We think
Like how stupid.
they may have released it to us by accident because they spent about 5.5 months scrubbing the body and dash cam videos. And remember, you're getting like two from each officer and then different angles. So it's very easy to get confused. And I can't really speak to their competence. So, anyway, we get all of these itty bitty videos and we piece them together. And there's about a 5 minute clip. 3 minutes is the troopers searching through their vehicle for something, with the flashlight, back seat, front seat, side panel, trunk, under a box, in a box. And then one trooper comes around to the back because, again, I'm standing out in the cold. And the trooper goes, something sounding kind of like drugs. And then the other trooper responds, yeah, I don't think I have any. I had a stash in here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. He's going to refuse anyway. And then they get into the car. Again, I'm standing outside by myself in the cold. And they go, yeah, he's going to refuse anyway. Search warrant. So they were going back and forth about how to get into my car, so they could drop the stash. And so they just finally, one, couldn't find it. And then two, realized I probably was too sophisticated to allow them into my car.
Wow. So, I hear you when you say, as a black person who has had that conversation from our parents that know how things can easily go left and fastly go left. And at the same time, you're saying, okay, I just need to get out this situation alive. And then afterwards, lawyer up and seek justice in America.
Right.
Justice.
How naive
So,
was I?
so, so, and the reason why I say this, because I just actually finished doing a play in a run of a play in New York called Freedom Riders, and it was called 12 Angry Men and Women, and it was based off this thing where it talked about 12 different stories of police brutality, um, and there was this kind of theme throughout of justice in the sense of, and I know this with like the character I played, Frances, who was in she testified in Congress when she was in the army, that she was raped and like all these by these white officers, but they didn't believe her. She all this kind of stuff. And and her not getting to experience justice and us seeing over decades, over centuries, really, that this system rarely serves up justice for us. What was your confidence level at that point, and what is your confidence level maybe now of that you will actually see justice?
Oof. I love that question. I was 100% sure that I was going to see justice, and with all the evidence that I had, right? And that was even before the video. I had contemporaneous notes, I had a witness, my friend who's in the passenger side, and all of the test results that came back negative. So we started our initial complaint, we did the internal review, it was a sham. And finally, our final recourse was to sue civilly. And even with the video evidence, zero support from the local politicians all the way up to Governor Whitmer's office. Basically, everyone did this. We don't have jurisdiction. And this is a legal matter. Then we get weeks away from our day in court, and the officers invoke qualified immunity, and the judge buys it. So, case dismissed.
Qualified immunity.
Yes.
For how? What do you mean? I don't qualified immunity.
Yes. So the troopers argued, and the state police, argued that they were doing their job and they were stopping me because of a traffic violation, and that I exhibited signs of being under the influence. And sometimes mistakes happen. And the judge literally said that I was suspicious for driving at 3 a.m. and that, it's very unfortunate what happened, and that I probably wish the night had gone a different way.
You know, and it's unfortunate because when you say that, I immediately think about the judgment that was placed on Jussie Smollett for being out at 3 or 4 a.m. to get Subway or whatever it was when, number one, Subway's open. Number two, there are other people there too,
Yes.
getting Subway. So, like, but somehow we should know better than to be out late at night or to do this because like even at the end of the day, like I would tell my nephew and all these kind of things, like I'm like, you're not a 17-year-old white girl. Like, you can't do the things that they do and drive late and be doing this or whatever. You're going to get stopped. But the reality is, you're an adult who can drive at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6
Yes.
a.m., and it should not be a problem. You could be coming from a booty call for all we know. Not saying that's what you was doing, but just saying, but literally, that would be your right to be coming back from doing the driver's shame, walker shame, whatever it might be, getting Subway, whatever it is that you're doing. But that is not a crime. And in this country, especially right now, even the Supreme Court is sort of going along with your skin tone being a cause for um, probable cause to be stopped and questioned and searched. So, with all that you've seen through the system, and first of all, let's even just talk about that as because that's for me, that's a fear of mine because I know what I'm supposed to do as far as to get out of this situation alive. But I also have this indignant, place in me that, and I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I don't know how I will always respond, especially had you ever been arrested before? Had you ever been inside a jail before?
Oh no, I had never had a negative interaction with the police before at 42 years old as a black queer man in America. So I was incredibly sheltered. I'm a Fortune 500 executive, like I'm driving a Cadillac, and unfortunately, I was not in the nicest of neighborhoods. I was dropping a friend off
Mm-hmm.
who lived there, and I was about to go right back to my, you know,
So you were
executive
you
neighborhood,
went
if you
into
will.
surveillance territory.
Yes. And I just was completely oblivious to all of that. And it was the most shocking experience. And if you watch the video, you can see there are parts where I'm just like speechless. Like I just have
I
never
did.
had
I,
this
I
interaction
actually I
before.
actually I actually looked and I was like I was like I was wondering if there was pause at certain time because you just seem so stuck like what is really going on here.
Yes.
And then when you how long were they able to hold you?
I spent a night in the jailhouse, and my driver's license was confiscated for 2.5 months.
2.5
Yes. So
months.
what does that mean? You can't fly, you can't rent a car. You're driving with this piece of paper that says basically you were caught doing a DUI. Now, I was supposed to get the results within 2 weeks, remember? 2 weeks. Fortunately, I had $100 to bail out. I didn't have to sit there for 2 weeks. I called and called and called the police force every week for months. And they said, well, we're working on your test. We're working on your test. Meanwhile, once I finally got the FOIA evidence, learned that they knew that I was negative within 10, 15 days. So it was just the cruelty of it all, right? And
And
then
cruelty is the point.
it's a point. So 2.5 months later, I get my driver's license wrapped in a piece of paper, no explanation, no call, nothing. So I'm like, I guess I passed. Yeah.
Wha- I, wow, and so when you spent that night, were you by yourself? Were there other people around you? Like, as someone who the reason why I'm asking you about this experience is because, as you say, you are corporate exec. You as a black person, quote unquote, you're doing the right thing. You're living, you are doing what you're supposed to do to not get caught up in the system. And how does that, like, what were you thinking, or how did you think we're at as a black man who has not had any interactions with the law, that now is being treated by the system in this way? Um, what did that make how did that make you feel, sort of, just how did that make you feel, I guess, in general? Because I guess too many of us, I think that if we are educated, if we just dress a
Yeah.
certain way, that we can avoid these kind of experiences.
It made the school to prison pipeline real for me. And when you think about almost every week, really, we hear about a black person is up for capital punishment. And it just clicked in me that how many of these people are 100% innocent? And, I was able to walk out because I had the money for the bond and I was able to lawyer up and everything, but how many other people can't do that? And I learned in this process that there are people who have been stuck in the system for months, lost their job, lost their car because of this nonsense.
So right now too, what does, from what you're seeing in this country and what you experience, talking about losing your driver's license for a couple months, we know that some folks end up dying in custody before they even see their day in court. Um, what is due process in America? Is there such thing today as due process?
We're losing it. And that's why I've authored legislation that I call the Motorist Bill of Rights. And it's a three-part, it's very simple. It says we need to agree federally across the nation on what is a probable cause to stop someone because way too many fishing expeditions are happening and people who look like us get murdered. Two, if you're doing a sobriety test, we need a scientific test that we all agree upon to determine sobriety because again it's a fishing expedition. I learned later from analysts that most of the things that I was instructed to do can't really determine sobriety anyway. Some people are off balance, some people have disabilities that impact their ability to do some of the tests, some people can't count, whatever. And then finally the release of information. So most police forces now have body and dash cam. Rather than using them for transparency, they're being weaponized against us. In my case, it took 5.5 months of fighting for the body and dash cam, $600, and then we get these redacted videos that are designed to protect the police force, not us. So we've got to release this information to the principal within 24 hours, no redactions and no cost. And that's the
So
motorist bill of
who's
rights.
is there not like a third party that is in control of these videos? Is it just like up to the police to grab the videos and provide them? There's no third party sort of oversight.
You're exactly right. And so that's another piece I think that would be really interesting to the legislation is that these videos upload to a third party site because even in my legal proceedings to date, the police are sending these redacted videos to the judge. And I've had two analysts actually look at them. They said they don't even have metadata. Like, this is not evidence, this is spin.
And again, I bring this up because we are just had an episode a couple episodes ago on the Jussie Smollett documentary, and it's just like you say that, and again, this brings up the fact that two things happen just from what you just said. Is one, the supposed evidence that they had of these twin brothers buying the stuff to do all of this had was on video with no metadata. It was just, and it was provided by a cop who had a history of nefarious activity in the
Yep,
Laquan McDonald
I
case.
saw that.
And so then the second thing was the video that showed, I guess, the perpetrators running across the thing with the security guard coming out of the situation is got 10 seconds redacted out of the video of where they were, where the security guard said he came out and flashed a light in the guy's face and saw that it was a white man.
Mm.
And so it was like, how how in 2025, when we understand what technology is, do we allow for that's, it's like literally you telling me you playing in my face.
Yeah,
We have body cam footage, but I'm going to give it to you with minutes and hours missing.
yeah.
So with this being the environment, I my question to you is, what gives you the confidence to think that you can get in here into that system and change things?
We have to try. We have to try. And I've always lived with the belief that truth wins ultimately. Cream rises to the top. So that was really the genesis of this campaign is if enough people and people vote, right? It's not businesses, it's not billionaires, it's us. If enough of us realize what happened here, we can win this and we can start to make some real changes. And it's going to be a national campaign. It has to be in order to be competitive here in Alabama because we don't get that dark money, billionaire business money behind our campaign. So it's got to be everybody chipping in a little bit here and there, and that national media behind this story.
So what so speaking nationally, every state is dealing with right now a different version of fascism and all these different things happening, from ICE trying to abduct literally American citizens, folks with no criminal history or records, arrest first, ask questions later sort of situation. um we've got, here in Atlanta, we've tried to fight to stop Cop City and sort of the exorbitant budgets going to cops. Our infrastructure needs work. We need to expand Medicaid.
Right.
We have an issue with, bodily autonomy here in the States, both for trans folks as well as for, like, the mortality rate for Black women in, Georgia. And just like, again, we just had a situation where they were like forcing a body, a woman who had already
Yes.
passed away, to carry this child. What would you say are the pressing sort of issues for folks living in Alabama right now? What are the things that you hear on the ground that people want most to be addressed?
Yes, this is a great question. So I started this campaign by saying we need leaders to listen. And that's what I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months. And it is unsurprisingly kitchen table. So it's education, healthcare, the economy, and more. I was a leader on this criminal justice reform. So I think we kind of reconnected on the Alabama solution and that documentary, which is just blowing up and revealing our school to prison pipeline and then the abuses within our prison system. So that's an area that I've really been leaning on. And I've written some legislative proposals around.
So you believe in reform?
In the criminal justice system, absolutely. I believe that there's some very low hanging fruit that we can tackle, making them places where people learn job skills and can come back into society and contribute. Drug treatment. So fewer than 5% of Alabama's prisoners are actually treated for addiction. They actually get worse because many of the corrections officers deal to them. So there's a lot of work to do in that space.
So that's what. So I want to even tap on that. Like, do you believe that what you're describing is criminal behavior? To me, it sounds like a health issue.
Oh, yes, I agree with you. And I think if you have 18 hours of downtime per day, that's a perfect environment to actually get treated.
Yeah, but if the environments aren't conducive for healing and because again, some people go in like, I think of the sweet soul, Khalif. I think it was Khalif Browder. It was a young man who ended up taking his life after he got out because just being in the
Yeah.
space changed him, did something to him, worked on his mental health, and he wasn't even supposed to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
So, to me, like when I think about reforming this system and all of that, I think about what and who is criminalized in the first place. And if we have the accurate responses, to treating people who need help,
Yes.
versus locking people up into a space and now giving them a label of felon or criminal or something that they have to carry for the rest of their lives. Do you see a space in Alabama for alternative solutions to that prison, to that school to prison pipeline? Like,
Oh,
what
yes.
do you see other solutions?
Absolutely. So, yes, thank you for that question. So, here in Birmingham, they are making mental health a really huge priority. And a lot of the work that's being done by Sheriff Mark Petway, um, as well as other individuals in the county, is siphoning off those two things: criminal activity and mental health breakdowns. And it really is going to come back to that second pillar in this campaign, ensuring that everyone has access to mental health and that we don't criminalize a health issue.
Yeah, because that was the other thing that sort of like really kind of ticked me off a little bit. I was watching the news the other day and I saw Mayor Andre Dickens on television talking about I think they were talking about in Atlanta there was a man that was arrested because his family sort of tipped off that he was going to be going to the Atlanta airport to quote unquote shoot it up.
Oh,
And so they end up arresting him there. I think it was a white man. And the immediate conversation is going to like mental health and to, funding for mental health services and what have you. But to me, I think that there's a bit of an ableist approach and piece of this conversation because I think too often people who struggle with mental health issues get sort of blamed or labeled or seen as potentially violent for those reasons
okay.
when it's not just having mental health that makes someone you know uh able to commit those crimes or what have you, so it's like it is there's so many other things that racism, the things that people play into this country that trans people are taking their somehow affecting their lives. I don't know why
Yes.
people are even debating about trans people
One
because I
less
don't
than
know
1% of the population.
how that even affects their grocery prices, all these other things. I have no clue. But you have people who get fixated into these spaces, whether and get into like a cult like fashion under MAGA or under evangelical or under all these different things. But yet we want to go to the conversation of mental health. And so sometimes I feel like it's an easy bar to reach for when there are real systemic things in play that even exacerbate mental health things for folks.
Sure.
And when black people are having mental health breaks, we're seen as a threat, in a way that there's so many people who have not come out alive from the cops being called on someone who's having a mental health episode instead of someone calling the doctor.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And it's so interrelated. I call it a virtuous cycle of we've got to create economic opportunity for people so that they're productive, they have readily access to mental health and education. It all works together, and the cycle is broken here in Alabama.
Do you think that in your lifetime right now and in the time that you are, you know, looking to jump into this ring of politics, um, do you see that marriage equality is on the docket to be attacked? How do you feel? Do you think that this regime is going to be successful at rolling back more things on their checklist of Project 2025?
I think they're about what 60 something percent through in 9 months. So they have been incredibly effective, and people should not underestimate Donald Trump. I think that ultimately on the marriage equality issue, I want to believe that's settled, and I can't believe the court would overturn that. But let's see. And I think it's a very important signal to progressives that we've
So
got to
you
come
think
for
that
us.
that's settled law? And they did roll back Roe versus Wade, right?
They did, but let's see what happens there. We've got to fight like hell to prevent that from happening. But I feel that for most Americans now, they've moved past that. I don't know if that's the same issue that it was 15, 20 years ago.
Wow.
Even for evangelicals, you know, our Treasury Secretary is an openly gay man. Donald Trump has appointed ambassadors that are openly gay. It's not as exciting as an issue to attack anymore. Let's see cautiously.
Interesting, interesting. Because I know I just saw a black woman running. I don't know what state she's running in, but I know she was just open about her discrimination against gay couples, against discriminating against someone for being gay in employment.
Mhm.
Um, we see those attitudes across the country, really, whether they are, overt or not. It's in the policies, it's in many of the policies. It's in even them trying to remove access to prep and study for HIV, and the CDC taking a big hit. There's a lot going on in this country. And I now do you know the lay of the land as far as your opponents and the folks that you are running against? Like, has it been Republican led before in the position that you are running for?
Yes, for the most part, yes. Now, interestingly, Senator Doug Jones, a Democrat, held this very same seat and won it in 2017. So I'm trying to win it back for the Democrats. But my chief opponent on the Republican side is a man named Steve Marshall. So he has really made his campaign about anti trans issues,
Mm.
representation, bodily
So what
affirming
is your
care.
response when because this is my thing that I have had issue with. I've had issue with the fact that conservatives, the right, Republicans have doubled down, have spent so much money in attack ads on the trans community and making trans people the boogeyman.
Right.
What my issue so much from the Democrats was the deafening silence in their response. When your opponent is running ads like that across the board on anti-trans, on anti-immigrant, whatever, all the things that the stance is, what are your response to all of those things?
Yeah, I've already started attacking Steve Marshall in particular 3 times, I believe, already about this issue and speaking out. Bottom line is, we need politicians out of our bedrooms and out of our doctor's offices. These are privacy and personal health decisions. That's it. And I'm the first to say I'm not a doctor, and this is not a space that I need to be legislating, and neither is he. So that's really what it boils down to. And also, we're in a state that professes to be Christian, 75%. I always try to really explain it in our language as Christians and around loving our brothers and sisters and just stay out of their business.
Absolutely. Well, look, I am going to send all the energy towards you for this, because we do need more people like you in office. I commend you on having the courage and the willingness right now to see what you see, to have gone through what you have personally gone through, and to still say, I think I can get in there and make a difference. Kudos to you. I'm definitely here to support you, to elevate. You're welcome back anytime here on Now to along your campaign trail to get any messages out there. Um, is there anything else that we didn't touch on about your campaign, or just something that you want to make sure that folks know about your run for office?
Well, we did discuss a little bit earlier. This is a national race to take back control of our Senate and Congress to start working for us again. So, anyone who wants to donate or volunteer, we're going to need folks phone banking coast to coast to win this. So, we're going to win it by people, right? So,
Yeah.
check out our website, DakariLarriett.com, to get involved.
Awesome. Well, we will get involved. Listen, folks, especially to the LGBTQ mafia out there, I need y'all to get activated. We need somebody in on the inside, that's going to make sure that ain't nothing going to go down and we don't get our
Exactly.
rights ripped up under our feet
Yes.
here. We want to keep those things there, and we want to also continue to push for the Equality Act on who's ever in the chief executive of this country. We need them to start looking at that, as well as like reallocating our resources to the places that we need, like you spoke of, into education, into healthcare, into yeah, just restoring the country. I wouldn't say back, but we just need to, because I don't think things were ever in a great space, but this
Yeah,
country still needs a lot of restoration.
right. I agree.
Yeah. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you so much,
good luck out
Angelica.
there on the trail.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
We'll be right back. All right. So I hope you enjoyed that conversation with the new homie Dakari. Yes. Don't flush, child. Like, these cops is crooked. You know what I'm saying? And if we didn't have these body cams, we wouldn't even know half the things that we know right now. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. Um, so there's a few things I'm going to touch on before we get on up out of here. So, child. So I didn't heard about this conversation about this trans person who was in the women's locker room and at LA Fitness, causing a ruckus. And what we saw mostly were these videos of a black woman going off about this person being in the locker rooms, but also talking about men with big, I say, I mean, I know I can say it on my thing, but I'm just like, is YouTube gonna get me if I say the D word, but big D's, saying that they're making them feel uncomfortable and all these different things and what have you. See, this is the reason why folks tried to come after me not too long ago and tried to accuse me of being transphobic when I was trying to tell y'all about the difference between the trans umbrella term, okay, and actually being a trans woman who would then be in those women's spaces and moving accordingly. Because here's the situation. I saw that there was a panel discussion with so many lovely black trans women on a panel. And what I found to be a waste of time, I think. Well, I mean, I guess it's not a waste of time because T.S. Madison's YouTube channel is monetized, so definitely not a waste of time. You understand what I'm saying? She's gonna definitely get a coin from that conversation, and maybe the girls will get a little piece. But other than that, have no clue Why black trans women are even talking about this? No clue. Where is Hunter? Where's the white girls at? They tell the white girls to go get they girl, go get they people. Tell the tell the white girl, the white queer and trans folks, windless windless farts with no sound. I have no idea what this person is saying, but where the white girls at? Let them go handle that. Why are we up here spending our time defending somebody doing something we know good and well we cannot do, that we would not do? We know this is what's the wildest thing about the situation is that a friend of mine called me up and told me about this story. I hadn't really heard about it, but a friend of mine called me up and told me about this. And what they told me was that as a black trans woman, they also go to the gym. But they kind of just go in, they don't mind, they mind their business, they work out and they leave or whatnot. And I guess this Tish person came up to them and was, y- at first, and my friend is very, very sweet. So she was able to handle her nonsense, that was happening at first and kind of calmed her down and was just like, she was listening to her through all the transphobia that she was spewing up that was coming out. And I think she got down to a few different things from this conversation with Tish. Um, one of those conversation, I think one thing in that conversation is that it must be hard when you got someone you think is a man in the locker room and y'all bodies are similarly shaped. It must be hard. And I know she says she want her body to look like that. But in this day and age, when everybody's trying to play potty police at the bathrooms and seeing, you seeing cisgender woman being told to move to move out the way, that you don't belong in this bathroom. There have been cisgender women who have reported being harassed going into uh cis or female designated bathroom spaces, I'll say. There have been cis women who've been pushed out of that. And so, you know, I know that through that conversation that they had, that one of the things that came up was that Tish has experienced being misgendered before. So a lot of times, I think that connects to Just Hilarious. Just Hilarious also has been misgendered. She has talked about her frustration over being people some guy thinking that she was a trans woman and feeling in her feelings about that. And what's so interesting to me, with this conversation, two things can be true at the same time. I don't know how y'all find me. I must algorithm, listen, send all the Jesus psychopaths to my channel. Send them on over. Send them on down. Send it on down. Send it on down. Send your rain down. Send it on down. Hey, send it on down. Send them on down. Send them on down so I can knock them out one by one. Hallelujah. Yes. But what is you saying? Jesus is Lord and the only way to heaven. We need to make sure he's number one priority in our lives, every area of it. Without him, we will always be left empty and miserable. God bless you and chat. Jesus saved Javon. Javon, listen, honey, you got the wrong channel for that. Listen, I love you, but listen, Jesus ain't the only way because I'm a Buddhist. You on the wrong channel. Okay? If you want to say only way, you on the wrong channel. If you want to say he's the way for you and talk about what the God has done in your life, you know, give honor to God who's the head of my life. When I sit down and think about all the things that God has done for me, I just want to say thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like if that's your testimony, let that be your testimony. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't the way for everybody. It sure wasn't the way for me. And it sure ain't the way for many people who are doing so many bad things in the name of God. Folks need to correct themselves. There are folks who are supporting genocide in the name of God. Oh, I shouldn't have probably said that word on here, and now they're gonna make my thing go down. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna make huh. Um, Just hilarious. Would you say Just Hilarious has spoken about it being misgender, which is why a lot of her statements on the community are wild. Yes, it's really, really wild because again, when someone has experienced being misgendered, they should, should know some things. How and so ever, how and so ever, that trans person that went into that women's locker room, I think needs to be arrested for sexual assault. To me, that's like sending me a dick pic I did not ask for. When you're going and when women are trying to feel safe in these spaces, especially as a trans woman that's gone into those spaces who's literally had a dick going into those spaces at different times. There was never a time that I was even trying to have that be seen. That's just where things are right now. And this is where this oh and this is where we split the road. This is where some of us in our community be splitting the road because folks don't understand that a lot of times when it comes to just like in beauty school or pretty much with any of most studies that you study, there is theory and there is practical. There's the theoretical and there's the practical. And there are a lot of white queer people who have been antagonistic in with their theory of how things are supposed to go. And they're using their privilege to push into spaces and be antagonistic. And from what my friend who goes to that gym was telling me is that that person was wearing like a sports bra and basically flashing themselves in that space and being antagonistic in that way, knowing that their privilege was going to create a ruckus where, there will be black trans women on the internet speaking in their defense. Tell me, when do they run to our defense though? When a black trans woman gets killed, a lot of white queer people want to ask, well, what were they doing? And aren't working to dismantle and decriminalize sex work for folks. During this day and age, when there's such a big attack on trans people and they have ran ads, Republicans, folks, just us minding our business, and they're running ads calling us the boogeyman in the bathroom, and then you want to go and do this? Girl, you're not even in community, which that's why this is why people need to understand the difference between the technicality and the theoretical about it. Yes, this person's trans, absolutely, because they fit under the trans umbrella. That's not a trans woman. That's not a trans woman. That's not a trans woman. That's someone who is trans under the umbrella that is fitting somewhere in that spectrum and blah, 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 but they ain't hit woman yet. Sorry. I know y'all keep thinking, I know what y'all gonna think about this. I've been in them gyms, I've been in them places. And all I'm trying to say is I don't like if I'm not expecting to see a dick in the spot, I don't want to see a dick in the spot. Just like when I'm talking to someone and I'm receiving text messages, I'm not just expecting to see a dick pic pop up on my phone. That's sexual assault. And when people are being antagonistic with their genitalias in a space and not just going and minding their business and doing what they have to do, you understand what I'm saying? And this is what another black trans woman was telling me, who actually goes to that gym, was saying, witnessing this person being antagonistic. But folks want to all of a sudden want to quickly run to this person's defense because they fit under the trans umbrella, not understanding everybody under the umbrella ain't marching in the same parade. You understand what I'm saying? They just not. Some folks are in it for clicks and giggles, for clicks and clout, for to to shake. Listen, it's like a loke, and I love a loke. You know what I'm saying? Here's the thing: there's so much about the way a loke even shows up as a non-binary person or whatever that really shakes people's understanding. It is somewhat sometimes is somewhat, and to me, antagonistic to me in a good way, in a way that is not violating someone it's not violating someone sexually. It's not you know forcing someone to experience a sexual act, or doing it's not doing different things. It's having you see someone who doesn't look gender traditionally woman in a dress with hair and doing all these things. Girl, what's the problem? You know what I mean? And I think Alok has helped us to really have conversations to push our understanding around those things. And I'm really all here for that kind of behavior. D- Putting it, doing that kind of stuff in a locker room where there also might be young women in there as well. Like, I do you have to be 18 to go? Like, are there young women that go into the Gold's Gym as well, that with their parents and stuff like that as well? Like, that's just, to me, that's inappropriate. It's just inappropriate. I would not want to see a dick swinging around. I'm sorry. And that's what I'm saying. I love Alok. I love there's so many things. When Alok, when when I first met Alok and was being in community, there were so many trans people and women who were really not feeling Alok, and really felt like they were confusing the movement and so many different things. And I have to say that Alok really even challenged my own understanding of so many things. And so I really have learned so much from them. I really, really have. And I think that they have so many beautiful perspectives and things that they've added to this conversation. So I'm so grateful for their contributions to the trans community. But when it comes to this person is acting out of community, because this is not what the community knows, that this is not something that we can afford to do right now. This is not a, that's not it. That's not the move. And this person is acting out of selfish whatever, hubris, ego, whatever is happening. It's not in connection with anybody in community that's telling them that's okay. Who told them that they could just go on in there and be doing that? Like, just have them. Oh, ain't nobody need to tell them because they white. You understand what I'm saying? They nobody need to tell them nothing. They white. They can do whatever they want to do. Because if anybody say or do anything about it, they're gonna have a rah rah rally behind them. Championing their defense to do that nonsense. Y'all losing the plot here. Y'all losing the plot here. Some of y'all really losing the plot and spending time talking too much theoretical and not understanding the practical of what's going on right now. We have people who are acting in predatory ways. You know what I'm saying? Like flashing genitalia. I don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? Like I just no. Wear a towel. There's just so many different things that can be done. But from what I heard and how the things were going down, that what I was told from another black trans woman that goes to that gym, and she said that person was being antagonistic. And also Tish was being antagonistic at the same time. You understand what I'm saying? So two things can be true at the same time. You met a transphobe, you met the right transphobe at the right time, and then you want to be antagonistic in the space and wave your dick in the space. Baby, so whatever your beef might even been with her, I don't want to catch strays. I don't want to catch a stray. I didn't come here for that. You know what I'm saying? And of course, we get in, we do our things or whatever. But some you can't. Well, that's not. And people know in our community, we are moving forward so that we can have the right to exist in spaces safely. And that doesn't mean just our safety. That means being able to participate in community safety. That means making the other women around us feel safe too. That means we also have to be willing to call a thing when something's happening. We have to also be willing to stand up and say something when something's not right. We got to protect each other. We're, you know what I'm saying? As trans people, yes, we are more than likely ones to experience violence than ones to be perpetrating violence on other folks. And at the same time, everybody ain't doing everything for the same reasons. And we can't sit up here and vouch for people as if we think that they are or know that they are. I don't know what that person's motivations are. I'm not finna sit here and vouch for that person. I'm going to tell you, yes, they fit under the trans umbrella. I may not say that. I don't know if that's a trans woman or not. I can't tell you that. I can tell you they're trans, sure. And I need y'all to start understanding the differences of that and understanding when and where that is appropriate. That is what I was speaking on when I was speaking on that situation on that panel with Laverne Cox that included Deshaun. I was not trying to invalidate Deshaun's transness or whatever. I'm saying they're not a trans woman. And that's a specific experience that deserves a specific space sometimes because those trans women understand how to move in spaces like a gym that we have been going in and out of for decades, unclocked. That's the gag from Carmen Carreras to the me's to the everybody else. Trans women have been going to these gyms with no problem for decades. Decades. So what's going on here is something different, and you got to call a thing a thing. So y'all can sit up here and play this so you can get invited by the white queers to be places because they think that you're going to repeat their bullshit. I'm not doing it. Okay? I'm not doing it. There's a difference between being the umbrella and being under the umbrella. Do you understand what I'm saying? Trans is an umbrella term. And under that umbrella are so many different things. A trans man and a trans woman are both under a trans umbrella. That does not mean a trans man is a trans woman. I mean, that should sound simple. A transvestite that be going on RuPaul's Drag Race doing drag. A sweet transvestite from Transylvania that gets sexual kicks from it and takes all that shit off at the end of the day is under the trans umbrella, but that is not a trans woman. Okay? So if any of them RuPaul Drag Race girls had took all that shit off and decided to go into and there's literally men underneath there because they're transvestites. That's what a transvestite is. And then they go into the women's locker room. No, girl, that trans card under that umbrella don't get you into every door. You don't get to go in every door with that umbrella card. You get special access over here. And it ain't about gatekeeping and all that kind of stuff or whatever. It's just about it's a different identity card. It's a different identity. It's a shame that you got to explain this. A shame. We are under an umbrella as a community. And I would love to be in places. I love going to bathrooms where I love my favorite bathrooms to go to are the ones where they have the doors all the way from the top to the bottom. You can't see nothing in there. Ain't daylight getting up in that. You know what I'm saying? You go in that thing and I feel safe. Can't nobody see under, up, need nothing. And then I come out and it might be a man, a woman, a trans person, and a dog washing their hands. No problems. But I sure as hell don't want to see nobody dick in that space. It's a separate side, I think, sometimes for the urinals or whatever they be doing or whatever. They be over there for the people who got them things and want to use them. You understand what I'm saying? What the people saying? Rolando says, wow, I'm annoyed as fuck. I just did some Googles and this person is apparently not trans. Like, I mean, now I haven't gotten to the bottom of it, so I don't know. They're saying that this person is trans, so I don't know what you're reading that they're saying that there might not be trans. But all I then I hope, and again, for everybody's sake, I hope they is still identifying under that trans umbrella. Otherwise, a lot of people about to look real stupid. But all I know is that I'm not going to sit up here and waste my time and energy defending somebody when I don't know what their intentions are. I don't know that they are in community with people, because to me it seems like they're not in community with folks who would tell them that's not what you do. Not in this moment where we're fighting for our rights. You have the privilege to go to the gym. We as trans people, the LA Fitness is being wonderful by upholding policies that let trans women use these spaces. So that person would have been, Tish would have been all in the wrong with you just using the space as a trans person. But you got to push it and be antagonistic, because technically we get naked in this space, and technically, theoretically, theory will get your ass whooped. Practical will keep you safe. Theory will get your ass whooped. Practical will keep you safe. That's why people be talking. That's why we talk about the practical things. What's practical to get you? That's what practical, being practical. Somebody said queer. I'm gonna get off here in a second. Queer just means different. It was a term used for men that like to dress as women, but specifically it was for men that like to wear lingerie. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about all that. I mean, because I know that I love queer. I love queer. I love queer. I love identifying as queer. It's just a little, different to me. It's off center. I'm not, I used to identify as kind of a straight trans woman. That's kind of how I saw myself. But I am so queer, and I'm so grateful to have discovered my queerness. Yes. Who is talk? I'm in your walls. What walls you talking about? Yes, trans is not a fetish. Somebody said, let's see, Rolando says, they're so damn annoying because people already act like there is no difference when there is. This person's overstepped, not cool. Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is people want to sit up and get on the internet and then have smoke for trans women. This is why I know, because this has been going on for decades, and I feel so sorry for the girls, because for so long the girls really been warning everybody that this was where this was going, and I was really trying to push, because there were so many girls who had a hard line about this non-binary conversation, certain things, and I'm trying to tell them, like, look, we're trying to educate everybody to understand how we all belong in this. But I understand some of their fear and all these things because of how some of these white queer people be moving through these spaces, and all they do is end up making it harder for black and brown people, because they can go back to Hollywood and Los Angeles, wherever they're at. And now, because Tish is black and she's rounding up all her black people and her music friends and these people, and taking the moment to sell her music and do all these things and get the shade room and all these other blogs involved in the conversation. And now it's just making more labor for black trans women who are getting now up on the internet talking about it and trying to defend her. I don't know why. Y'all stop that. And then also, then you got people, then folks again trying to say, like, as if we are like them, as if we move like them. We have had such a hard time trying to have a conversation within the black community to make them understand that being black and being LGBTQ are not mutually exclusive, because the ways they talk about gay and trans is as if there's a benefit or privilege for black and trans people, and not understanding that there's a completely different experience for us in this mug. Yes. Michael Town says the truth is the truth, and the black trans women who have fully transitioned bear the brunt of this behavior. And that's just the truth of it. Again, because I want to ask, where are the white girls? And where are the white girls? Hmm? Where are the white girls? Because that's all I want. That's the only people I want to hear talking about this. Leave us out of it. Because God knows we couldn't even do a tenth of that and get away without getting our asses beat. Again, theory will get your ass beat. Practical girls, you want to stay practical. Practical will keep you safe, okay? Don't sit here thinking you can do what them white girls are doing in Los Angeles. I know we know. I know we know. I don't even have to say that. But to sit up here and rah 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 behind them when they not rah 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 behind you, girl. Huh, I'd rather have a V8. Mm-mm. Somebody says it's annoying as fuck because she's a lesbian and where will she be if not for trans women being on the front lines? Exactly. So, again, two things can be true at one time. Like this lesbian woman has gone overboard. She's a turf. She's definitely a turf. I actually also spoke to India Moore, who said that I think that she had some words with Tish as well. And Tish was just completely disrespectful to India Moore, calling her a nigga, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. And like just, just she had no respect no matter what you look like. And again, this is what the girls are trying to tell you. The girls who are getting up on there and talking about and rah 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 behind her, they are correct. At the end of the day, these turfs don't give a damn whether you pass or you don't. They think you're all men. They think we're all men. So we could start there. I do understand that. I completely get it. I'm not confused there. So again, I'm not trying to gatekeep on that experience. What I am saying though is, how about we move in a way that tries to keep us all safe? It's like having people be in the community and someone moving and acting in a wild way in an environment that's really, really dangerous and cautious and doing things that are making it unsafe for the entire community. It's like coons. Coonery makes it unsafe for everybody. Being a pick me makes it unsafe for everybody. Acting out of integrity makes it unsafe for everybody. So this ain't community. This is not a community situation. This is a person uh creating a viral moment. This is a person acting out of community. This is a person acting as a lone wolf around sheep. Anyway, so I'm just going to end on this note and just say what is Rolando says, J.K. Rowling out here fumbling a multi-billion-dollar Harry Potter bag because she wants to be a turf. Exactly. Because who watching that? No, child. Listen. Do you want to fight? You want to fight? Let's just fight. How about we just fight? Cause what you think I, you're not. You just you want to fight. I think it's just that you want to fight. Cause like, what you think I'm saying here? I'm talking about the wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm not. Oh my goodness, people! Like, all right. Is this the chick that microwaves pizza rolls and farts into Tupperware? Just want to make sure I'm in the right place. Now, who did what now? Microwaves pizza rolls and farts into Tupperware. Y'all just get on the internet and want to say anything. I mean, it's great. We could do this. I could totally do. We could do this, but like, this really shows the lack of maturity. In wow. No, okay, no worries. Listen, I know. Okay, don't worry. If listen, sometimes I'm a little slow too, so it's fine. But what I'm just trying to say to you in general, it's not me calling women sheep. What I'm saying is, in general, is that, you know, we we are literally in a situation where Republicans are making up stories about people who do nefarious things under the banner of being a trans person. And everybody in our community knows that that's just not, doesn't seem to be a real thing, because we that's not where none of us be at. It's not as a community member, as a person who tries to get a job and do their day-to-day things. That's just not where our mind be. We be so trying to just avoid violence and do different things or whatever. What a privilege it is to walk into a space with your dick out. My God, on today. My God, on today. I didn't even walk out with my dick out at home by myself when no one was around. Now I know that's another, conversation, and that's something else, and blah blah blah, whatever. But all I'm saying is, y'all know we tuck. Y'all know we tuck. You understand what I'm saying? So for the 2 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you moving around in these spaces, ain't no reason to be dangalanga swangalanging. Ain't no reason to be doing that. Someone says, I think you are a black goddess, babe. Well, thank you. I'm a goddess and a queen, you know. Thank you. So yeah, so anyway, so before we get off of here, so that's going to be, that's my 2 cents on that situation, is that uh community looks out for each other. We're working to protect each other, but you have to understand there is a difference between affinity and community. Just because you have a same identity or affinity, like, oh, we're both trans, we're black, whatever, that does not automatically mean we're community and we should be fighting for each other. It just doesn't. I don't listen. I've been trying to break this down before. Google Peter Block, the author of the book called Community, and I quote him all the time in saying that the admission price. Okay, we listening? Huh? Okay. The admission price for community is accountability. Who was that person accountable to when they was doing that other than themselves? They weren't even accountable to the other women in the space, in the locker room space. Do you understand what I'm saying? That they're trying to be in community with. There's an accountability to make sure that this is a safe space for everybody. But you can't be bothered to check in. You can't be bothered to check the temperature of the moment and the political moment, the political climate. It's hot, bitch. The political climate is hot. The block is hot, bitch. The block is hot. It's wild. So you won't find me defending um uh that person. I think that they should consider pressing charges on that person, because I think that they were I think that that was sexual assault. I think that they might have been trying to be sexual assault, like, again, showing your genitalia unwarranted, or whatever the case is, to people, is sexual assault. So I mean, I don't know the particulars around that situation, but in that situation, huh? Depending on how that went down, that might allegedly be sexual assault. Is all I'm saying. So I'm going to move on from that conversation, and I'm going to move into our Buddhist breadcrumb for the evening, so I can get up out of here. But again, I am reading from the Wisdom of the Lotus Sutra. I am reading from the Lotus Sutra, Wisdom of the Lotus Sutra, and there's this part in here that has just really been on my heart, and like I said, I sent it to Amanda Seals as well. Um, and basically, it is a chapter on upsetting attachments and arousing doubts, inducing a revolutionary leap in consciousness. And what he says is that this illustrates the principle of upsetting attachments and arousing doubts, or causing uncertainty in people's minds about the ideas to which they have been attached. Having doubt cast on the correctness of their current beliefs allows them to open their eyes to a higher plane of awareness. There are folks too scared to even enter this territory. They don't want to start to doubt because then they think their whole world is going to unravel, which it probably needs to be dismantled because erroneous teachings and the poison and things that don't serve you need to be removed and dismantled. Upsetting attachments and arousing doubts indicates a sudden overturning of the beliefs and convictions that people have held up to the point. It is a decisive blow to the foundation of existing world views. That's what happened with the documentary Israelism. When there were a lot of Jewish people who saw that, and you could see the pain in them, it was a huge blow to the convictions and things that they had been taught and their existing worldview. It was almost traumatizing for them to have to now separate themselves from that. So, right now, what we are doing when we say free Palestine, when we say free Congo, free Sudan, all of these different things, and all these other folks are crying, and Deborah Messing is losing her shit. That is because Madam is having her attachments upset, disturbed. Her whole, her whole everything is disturbed. Miss Deborah Messing, it needs to be on watch. You know what I'm saying? And so it says the bodhisattvas of the earth, who are us, are us Buddhists, embody this responsibility, compassion, and wisdom. They are great benefactors who work to elevate the spiritual state of humankind. Um, it says it describes folks like this who, are able to do this, who are able to upset people's attachments and arouse doubts. That is what I have also been doing. Folks who have been listening to the things I've been saying, sometimes at first they might think they want to fight me. Hold on, girl. Hold on. You know what I'm saying? Just listen a little bit. You know what I mean? I'm upsetting your attachments to what you think you know, to what you've been taught and what you've been told. And I know that now that you're hearing it and you're hearing the truth, it's starting to arouse some doubts in which now you starting to doubt what you've been told. That don't sound quite right now, do it? No, it don't. So folks like that, it says they describe us as firm in the power of will and concentration, with constant vigilance, seeking wisdom. They expound various wonderful doctrines, and their minds are without fear. It also says that they are skillfully learning the bodhisattva way, unsoiled by worldly things like the lotus flower in the water. And they are clever at difficult questions and answers. Their minds know no fear. They have firmly cultivated, persevering minds, upright in dignity and virtue. You know what I mean? This is what we aspire to at the very least, you know? So overall though, this chapter, like there's so many things that I have highlighted in this chapter, but the main thing um that I want to point out here is that where is it? Here it is. Okay, here it is. So they say perhaps, okay, let's see. So it says the greater the degree to which attachments are upset and doubts aroused, the greater the difficulties that will arise. Hear me when I'm saying this. The greater the degree to which attachments are upset. Think about it. You are to the greater to the degree that that attachment is being upset and doubts are aroused, the greater the difficulties that are about to arise. We are implementing the principle of upsetting attachment and arousing doubts on a global stage. Never before have people been so oblivious to their own existence, nor have they looked down on themselves so inconsequential and insignificant as they do now. Convinced of their own insignificance, people have ceased to even question things. They live complacently, unquestioning. Such spiritual sterility makes people smaller still. The teaching of the Lotus Sutra, however, breaks down the petty limitations that people set on their lives. Put another way, while partaking of a state of life of boundless joy and completion, a bodhisattva at the same time takes action to advance, to ascend even higher, and to lead still more people to enlightenment. In other words, in a state of incomplete completeness. So, that's the word for today that I'm gonna leave with you. It's definitely going to be a rough road ahead, Rolando. Folks are really, really attached to yeah, it's definitely gonna be a rough road for Miss Deborah Messy. But folks are really attached to some things that are really poisoning our culture. They're attached to entertainment and news and things that are poisoning them and poisoning our culture, poisoning the way that we think about each other. I went to a restaurant. Shout out to the people at First Watch in Decatur. They know I love to come in there and see them. And I sat at like the community table where you don't really have a reservation. You just sit with other people. And there were some other white people there talking about some stuff or whatever. And, talking about Trump and this, that, and the third. And, I was going to stay out the conversation, but then I got in the conversation and I kind of started, just breaking down some things, but breaking down how, both Republicans and Democrats obviously have blood on their hands and have responsibility to take for the mess that we're in right now. Um, but what was great was that when we finished that breakfast, they were really uh I told them that I was trans. I told them that how I'm treated in this country, how I've become a target in this country. There seemed to be some empathy from these two white men sitting at this table, who I felt a little conservative air from initially. I don't know what, complete flavor it was, but all I know is that by the end of that conversation, there seemed to be some understanding, and at least in my humanity. And, so it always remind me about these amazing, beautiful experiences that I have with people in the real world, not on the internet where people want to just sound clever. You know what I'm saying? So just know that I'm going to always be here to try to do better, to get us to do better and do different things. I saw, the wonderful, show on, T.S. Madison show where she had the different trans women on there. I know one trans woman. I won't say your name because I won't even give you the benefit of me saying your name, but who had the nerve to say that why would they put a comment on the screen, my comment on the screen, I don't like I don't like nobody. No, bitch, I don't like you. I don't like scammers. Okay, I don't like criminals in our community who disguise themselves as community leaders. Okay, check my record, it's clean. Can you say the same? No, you absolutely cannot. Okay. So all I know is uh I am worried about keeping my community safe. Other folks out there need to worry about court cases they're facing. You understand what I'm saying? Just leave me out of it is all I can say. You don't want none. You don't want no smoke with me, okay? I'm a real one. My record is clean. Ask anybody. Go to my fiscal sponsor. Ain't nobody accused me of stealing no money. They couldn't. You know what I'm saying? Because it just never happened. You understand what I'm saying? I've never been to prison for fraud. I've never been certified a fraud for fraudulent activity. But there are people in our community who are people who have been putting into community into leadership spaces who are certified fraudulent, certified by the state, not by me. So yes, my hair has black roots. No, some white girl is not missing her hair. I know. Listen, sweetie. Listen. I can give you some time, bro. 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 You want the link, bro? Bro. We could talk. Look, I just people are so dumb. But anyways, yeah, so I'm not going to put all these, because listen, click like, share, subscribe, do all the things. I don't know what I have done to attract the algorithm of all these trolls that are now coming inside the chat saying all kind of rude things. You got the right one because it really doesn't matter at all to me. First of all, I don't have balls. Okay. But I will tell you, if you want to suck my dick, you can fly to Thailand and I will call my doctor up and tell him to grab that meat out of the locker for you so you can suck my dick. I don't have it though, but you're going to have to go to Thailand and spend some money on it. Okay? And that's on what? That's on period. All right, y'all. We're going about to get out of here. I think do I have my outro video on here? At least I can play my outro music. Where my outro music at? I know I got my outro music on here somewhere. Where my background music at? So we can get that going out. I got to here we go now. All right, y'all. Now, it's been a great show. Have a great evening.